Cool, let's have a look at one of these function challenges for grade 11. Alright, the question says the sketch shows f of x is equal to 2 open brackets x minus 1 close bracket squared minus 18, and g of x is equal to mx plus k. Find the following. A, the coordinates of A, B, C, D, the turning point, and E if CE is parallel to AB. So let's go ahead and mark that information on our sketch, okay? Always a cool thing to do that. So we know that CE, this guy here, is parallel to AB. Cool. All right. So let's start. Looking at our diagram, or the sketch that we have, we can see we've got two lines. We've got a parabola and we have a straight line. Now, working with a parabola is going to be much easier because they've given us the whole equation for the function. Also, we know that D is going to be the turning point, and they were very sweet to set out the function in turning point form, or vertex form, depending who you speak to and what you call it. Alright, so looking at our function, we have f of x is equal to 2 open bracket x minus 1 close bracket squared minus 18. Now, in this equation, we know that the turning point is represented by negative p and q. So let's quickly write that down. Turning point is represented by negative p and negative q. Right, now looking at our actual equation, the negative 1 is our p, okay? So now remember, we need to multiply that by a negative, so we will have 1 for the value of p. And then our q value, which is guy at the end, is negative 18. So that was quite easy. Therefore, D has the position of 1 and negative 18. There's one of our answers done already. Nice. Okay, so I'm going to scratch D off of here, and let's go on with our list. Looking again at our sketch, we're going to go for C, and the reason being is because it is going through the y-axis, so it's going to be super duper easy to actually work it out, right? Remember, all we need to do is set y to 0. So let's go ahead. Oh no, do we set y to 0? No, we set x to 0. Duh. Okay, because on the y we can see that we've actually gone down. So y is a negative number guaranteed. Alright, so let's say let x equals 0, and then we write our gorgeous little formula, putting zeros in the place. So we have f of x is equal to 2. I'm going to just use square brackets. Although it doesn't really matter because it's 0, it's not like it's a whole number. So let me clean that up. There we go. So we have brackets 0 minus 1 squared minus 18. Good old arithmetic, so we can clean it up. Nice thing is, you can literally plug this into your calculator and you will see you come to an answer of negative 16. Okay. Ooh, probably shouldn't put an arrow at the end there because that's not one of our answers. Okay, so now what we should state is therefore C as the coordinate of 0, because remember it's lined, there is no movement on the x axis, so it has to be 0. And we've just calculated that y is negative 16. Looking back at our sketch, we know that the line CE is parallel to AB. And we already know that AB is absolutely straight because it's the x-axis. Okay, so with this in mind, we know that our y-coordinate will be the same. Let's go and put that in. Alright, so we'll just put an and. E, the y-coordinate is definitely negative 16. Sneaky negatives. Alright, now let's apply some logic, right? With our parabola, we know that our turning point, right, is in this case, the minimum point of it, and that parabolas are symmetrical. So that D is literally cutting a parabola in half, and we know that the position of C is at 0, and if for the x coordinate, and for D the x coordinate is 1. So this section here, the distance between these two spaces is 1 unit. Therefore, looking at E, well, that's not a very straight line, imagine it's straight, the same distance it needs to travel to get from D to E if we were working in straight lines, okay? So we know that this has to be 1 unit. Therefore, E is 1 unit plus 1 unit, making it 2 units for the X coordinate. All right, so E is 2 and negative 16. Cool, that's 3 done, only 2 more to go. Okay, the next part, actually let's cross out E and let's cross out C because it just looks cool to get stuff off of our list. Cool, now we're going to look at A and B. A and B is super cool as well. Wow, they've actually been very generous with the information. A and B is cool because look at what axis it's cutting through. It's cutting through the x-axis. So if we want to know what the values of A and B is, we simply got to set our function that y is equal to 0, right? Okay, so start off by stating that. Okay, let y equal 0, and now apply that 0 to the function or the equation we have. So it'll be 0 is equal to 2 open bracket x minus 1 squared minus 18. Note we have a binomial happening here, so when we're simplifying, just make sure that you expand the binomial completely. So it'll be 0 is equal to 2, and looking at it, we have x squared minus 2x plus 1, cool, and minus 18. Let's go ahead and just clean up all those brackets, get our simplified answer. We will then have, we will multiply the 2 out. So we got 2x squared minus 4x plus 2 and then minus 18. Now we can do one last cleanup, which leaves us with 2x squared minus 4x minus 16. Okay, notice that we have 2, 4, 16. They're all even numbers, so we can divide by a factor of 2, cleaning up our expression or equation a little bit nicer. So we have x squared minus 2x minus 8, which is a much easier trinomial to factorize. Okay, and you'll check here in 5 seconds. We've got, well, don't forget that 0. We've got x, the second bracket is negative. Okay, so 1 is going to be negative. Oopsie, let's not make it too squishy. Oh, what am I doing? What am I doing? Let's move this thing out the way. There we go. We have x minus something, and in the next bracket we'll have x plus something. Now let's check. Our first sign is negative. That means the greater number has got to be negative. And what can we multiply together to get 8? That easy peasy is going to be 2 times 4. Alright, and we've already agreed that the larger number needs to be the 4, needs to be a negative, so it'll be negative 4. Okay, we can then finish off by stating, let me just shift this up a bit, I will make more space for us in a second, but we can end that off by saying, therefore, x is equal to negative 2 and x is equal to 4. Okay. Now we're so close to getting the final answers for what A and B are. Just make some more space on this image. Alright, so we can say, therefore, A has a position of negative 2 and 0, and B has a position of 4 and 0. Okay, let's just give nice little arrows so they know that these are our final answers. Alright, so let me just quickly collect that and make it a smidge and smaller. Oh, sugar, really? Okay, just excuse my clumsiness while I quickly sort this out. Okay. And get that question back into our zone. Okay, let me collect this guy. Brilliant. And let's make him small. Okay, so that is question A done. Alright, no, it's a lot of writing, but I'm sure we got every single point there. Okay, so we've done A. I'm just going to scratch you out because you're done and dusted, mister. Let's look at B. The values of M and K I'm actually really super glad that we have this opportunity, right? Because now I get to show you that cool equation that I was telling you about, that you hadn't seen before, which is like delta x over delta y over delta x. It's just instead of delta x being at the bottom of the equation, we have it next to m. Okay, let's have a look at that. Right, so we have y minus y1 is equal to m open bracket x minus x1. Now, the only reason this looks wonky, okay, is because in our normal equation, we would have y1 minus y2. There's really no difference in this case. They've just labeled it in a different way, okay. What I like to do when I start off with is decide which coordinates I'm going to work with. They haven't given us any. All right, usually you would want to use the information they've given you so that you can make sure that your errors are limited. But in this case, we've been given absolutely nothing. And we're looking at A through to E. I'm just going to highlight the line so we know exactly which guy we're looking at. Bam, we're looking at that guy. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the coordinate E and the coordinate A to help me solve this. And I know I'm going to be crazy and you may think I'm wasting time, but I'm going to put that information here just so I don't get confused. Okay, it's a great fail-safe. And then we said we're going to do E. So that would be 2 and negative 16. All right, another fail-safe I like to do is indicate to myself which one is going to be 1 and which is going to be 2. All right, now that we have all that information there, let's go ahead and fill it in, right? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Okay, so y in this case will just be referring to 1, so that's going to be 0 minus y2, or y1 in this case, is negative 16, so remember that negative sign in brackets, is equal to m. I'm going to start off with a square bracket because I'm pretty sure we're going to have to write some random stuff in here. Let's check. So we have 0 minus, and oh, it's not 0. I'm looking at the wrong stuff. Eraser. Here we go. Okay, it's not 0. Our x coordinate for A is negative 2. See, I told you we'd need that square bracket. Alright, so negative 2, and we're going to minus 2. That's not so difficult. Cool. Alright, so let's check. The left-hand side simplifies to 16. And the right-hand side simplifies to negative 2 and negative 2, so that is negative 4. Okay, 16 is equal to negative 4m. Divide both by negative 4. And we're left with m equals negative 4. Okay, woohoo, halfway there. I love it. Okay, I'm going to grab this right now so we can get out the way and have lots of writing space. Bam. And let's squash you up a bit, just so it sort of looks the same size. There we go. I'll chuck it here. Okay, so we've got the value of m. Now the only other value we're missing is k. And it's super easy, guys. We know how to do this like a million times. We'll write out the standard form, but in this case, let's follow the form that they've given. Alright, and then we fill in information. So for g of x and for x, we can just choose a point. Now, I'm just going to go with e because we've been using e all the time, and I don't know, I just like the letter today. So let's see, the value for g of x for e is negative 16. Okay, the value for m we've just calculated is negative 4. The value for x would be 2. And it is k that we're going to discover. Great, so we have negative 16 on the left hand side and negative 8 plus k on the right hand side. Simplifying the whole madness, we have negative 8 is equal to k. Awesome! Alright, we're nearly there. We pretty much just have to state it now. So we can say, therefore, g of x is equal to negative 4x minus 8. Alright, indication that that's my final answer. Brilliant. Let's go ahead and make it a little bit smaller so we can put it with the other information. There we go. Okay. Shift everything up so it looks neat. Cool. Let's scratch out question B because we've done you. Alright. Now let's read very carefully about what question C is asking. It says the distance of FD if FD is parallel to the y-axis and if f lies on g of x. So let's look at exactly what it is they're asking us to look at. I'm going to just draw a little. But as you can see, I love using my sketch to indicate what I'm working on. So yeah, have pencils at hand and erasers, okay? Because as you can see, I've had to clear it every single time because a lot of stuff that you're always indicating to yourself. Okay, so the little red highlighted line is what we're going to do. In order to calculate the length of this monster, we need to actually find out the coordinate of the position of F. Okay, and I'm going to apply some logic here again. We know that the coordinate for D is 1 and negative 18. Oh, I just noticed that I didn't put a negative there. Let me go in and clean that. What a silly banana mistake. If I was being marked, I would have lost that mark because of just a sign. Can you imagine? How rude. Oh yeah, sneaky signs. Okay. Anyway, let's get back to what we were talking about. We said that the point for D is 1 and negative 18. So if we look at the the x coordinate of 18, we know it is 1. And we know that F is parallel to the y-axis. In fact, let's chuck that in. We know that these two lines are parallel. Okay, so we already know that F must have 1 as its x coordinate. All we need to do is discover what the y coordinate is. And that'll be easy enough, right? If we chuck 1 into our equation that we have for the straight line in place of x, because we know that, we will find out what y is. So let's go ahead and do that. We have g of x is equal to negative 4, and we're going to put 1 in place of x because that's the value we're going to apply. And that gives us negative 4 minus 8, so that's actually negative 12. Okay, so f of x is 1 and negative 12. Great, now we found that information, right? Now we can go on a very long route to find the answers, and I think that's important, and we'll use the short route to double check ourselves. So if we're trying to find the distance between 2 points, the formula we apply is the distance formula. Okay, and I kind of dig this formula because it's like Pythagoras on steroids, even though it is still Pythagoras. It's pretty cool. Okay, so I hope this is looking familiar as an equation for you, or yeah, pretty much an equation or formula. Formula is probably the better word there because we haven't got any values there. Alright, so distance is equal to the square root of x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. Alright, so let's go ahead and decide what information we're going to put in. I'm going to write D here again just to keep my mind set on the numbers, and I don't want to get anything confused. In this case, I'm going to make F my 1 and D my 2, which is easy peasy lemon squeezy. Chuck it into our equation. X1 has a value of 1. X2 has a value of 1, so 1 minus 1 squared plus, let's see, the value of y1 is negative 12. Should probably put a square bracket because he's a negative. Minus, and there's another negative 18. And that all squared. And the cool thing is, this crazy mouthful right here, we can just chuck straight into our calculators because we live in the new age and get a pretty quick answer. Okay, and lo and behold, it gives us 6. Okay, don't put a line under because that's not our final answer. What we can do quickly as a double check, right? If we look at the y coordinate of F and we look at the y coordinate of D, we simply say, how many units do I need to move in order to go from negative 12 to negative 18? And that's quite logical. It is 6 spaces. All right, and that's exactly what we calculated. So we'll finish off with this answer by basically saying, therefore, line FD is equal to 6 units. And bam, mission accomplished. And I'm pretty sure we got full marks. Great.